Are you ready?
Ready I am.
Ready I am. John Peckman, I am. Connecticut Valley Music School of Dance and we are. All right, let me get my act together. It's a new year, and I'm worse than ever. My resolution's already out the window. Be less of a moron. So much for that. John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance, beautiful downtown Portland, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go 1 through satellites, pull a UE, park in front of the store with the red neon light. Have your own podcast. Dave will tell you how. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Be on the show with me. That's everything. I think I got it all. We're here today, Mr. Frank Giguere. Did I even say your name right?
You did.
Oh.
On the first time.
It's a new year. All right. Frank Giguere, drummer extraordinaire. We were just saying we've been concurrent paths. Is that I'm not good at geometry.
Yeah.
Right?
I'd say that. Yeah.
And it's like
parallel paths.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the podcasts and I'm like, geez, we've done a lot of the same things with the same people, maybe displaced by a few years.
This is why I like the show, because it draws everything together. So when for drummers around our parts and pretty much almost all of Connecticut, creative music in Wethersfield, I grew up in Wallingford. We would make the journey up to Wethersfield was the spot.
Yeah.
It was the spot, the center of the universe. And you were the main drum teacher there during those years. Yeah. So I always hear, Frank's downstairs, Frank's downstairs. Frank downstairs. Well, now Frank's upstairs. Here he is. Yeah. Yeah. So tell us, what would you say that you were mainly, people would know you most for or from?
Probably from the group Street Temperature.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So that was your thing.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Most of the 80s. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's killer. And then teaching, that was your thing too. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a music education degree from UConn and went to school with John McElhoney.
Hey, nice. All right.
We're very close and still are.
Yeah.
And so I started teaching in a little shop in Vernon, and then I got a spot at the Hart Community Division. But then when it really came together was when Bob, they had an opening, and Bob asked me to come into as he put it, coming into the family.
Yeah,
and, and that's really what it felt like too.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I don't know if we should talk about that right away. But maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. So Bob Gatzen. I mean, if you're first of all, if you're watching or listening to the show at all, and you're a drummer, you already know all about creative and all about Bob and everything that he did for all of us. Well, sadly, passed away. Yeah. A few days ago.
Yeah, less than a week.
Less than a week ago. I mean, creative hasn't been a thing for a while, but talk about family. I mean, I was just a customer,
right? And
it still was like family.
Yeah.
I would go. It would be Johnny, Jeff Brown,
right?
Bruce.
Yep.
Bob is everybody. It was Mark Carter, obviously.
Yeah.
It was this. I mean,
the drum doctor.
Oh my God! It was the center of the universe. There was nothing there was never a time I walked out of there not knowing more than when I walked in or had something or got something done. I'd be on the road and come in to Mark and go, my bass drum's creeping. What do you think I should do? Bring it in. And he'd just look at it. And I'd go, what are you going to do? He goes, go next door, get me a pack of cigarettes. By the time you come back, I'll fix it. And he just will put new spurs on or whatever. You should be all set.
Yeah.
The best. The best. We're so lucky to have that. Yeah. Very sad that Bob is not with us.
Yeah, he was such a creative force. I met him. I started going to the store in like 1976, 77. Wow. I started studying.
When did he start it? Do you remember?
72.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I went off to college, I started hearing about like, oh yeah, this place you gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go see this place. And so I I started studying with Gene Bosey, and that was right after my sophomore year of college.
Okay.
And he was the first big influence. And then later on, I started studying vibes with Bob.
Oh,
And,
okay.
And that didn't last too long.
No.
I realized like there's way too much here for me.
Yeah. But he did it all.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Crazy.
Yeah. And he did vibes for probably like that 10, 15 years, and then just like that he switched over back to drums.
Yeah.
and played great.
Yeah.
He was such an innovator. I mean, I guess the first time I realized it was with Noble and Cooley.
Right.
I was.
Yeah.
I had
we
just
all
started
did.
teaching there, and he's working with this toy drum company up in Southwick, Mass, and I ended up having I had like number 85.
Wow.
Yeah, I ended up selling it, but this is a good story. So Bob's if you remember, there was like that little that little workroom.
Yeah, there was always something going on.
Yeah, and he's in there, and he's he's always tuning and this and that, and he's like, "Hey Frank, check this out." He had a prototype snare drum, so
that's crazy.
I said, "Wow, that's great." He's like, "You want to take it on a gig and try it out?" I was like, "Yeah." Well, I take it, and Tom Dest shows up at the gig.
Yeah.
And he hears it and he goes, "What is that snare drum?"
Yeah, right. That's it.
Right?
Now we're ready.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay.
Because you're the guy out working. Because you're out working, so they're just like, you'll know whether it works or not.
Oh yeah. It was like, and I went back to him. I said, I gotta have it. And he said, "Well, it's a prototype. It's not patented."
Right.
So I was like, "Yeah, but I really gotta have this."
Yeah.
So
Don't tell anyone what.
No,
it is.
he just said, "I'll do it, but you can never sell it." So I still own it.
Oh, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's heavy. A prototype.
Yeah.
What was cool? What was good about it? I mean, obviously I know, but how would you
the
describe?
Coolies have kind of a fat sound. This one, he had like a different flange on the drum itself, and then he was using die cast, straight rims.
Right.
It was just this massive crack.
Wow.
And it was just perfect for the kind of music I was playing too.
Wow. Did he even know that, or for you specifically, or he just was like, just take it for whatever you're.
Oh no.
It
He
turned
knew
out that it was perfect.
Yeah, he knew how he knew the kind of music I was playing.
And that was street temperature.
Yeah, at that point, yeah.
Did he design the drum with you and me? That would be something.
I would not go that far.
But I just figured like this will be a good sound for people who are doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, at the time.
Yeah. And I guess he never really, he had so many different designs to those drums. So, that was first. And then when he got involved with Simmons and Evans and
right. I remember the Simmons days.
I used to use BG maple sticks, and he was just always coming up with something.
Yeah. Always up in everything. Yeah. The drum frame. I remember that when he was working on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great loss. I was thinking, I don't know, we'll think about it. Maybe someday. I'm always talking about it, but to have like maybe a creative drum shop like round table.
That's exactly what I was thinking too.
Yeah, all right.
You got to get the the drum crew.
Yeah,
and
that'll be the theme.
Yeah.
Bob and creative and tell stories.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, there would be plenty of those.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? And that'll give me, I always say the same thing, give me a good excuse in the new year to do a different setup.
Yeah.
If I can get a round table, get everybody mic'd up, maybe that'll be our thing.
Right.
And we can do that. That'd be cool. All right. Yeah, I mean, condolences to anyone and hats off to Bob Gatzen. I mean, it was the center of the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, growing up, learning to play drums, I mean, all I saw was catalogs or pictures. I mean, this was before MTV. I never saw anything.
Right.
And I would come up to Wethersfield with my dad and my other couple of drum buddies, and we'd walk in and just couldn't believe it. It was like, here are the things.
Yeah.
I can hit this cymbal. I can
Right.
hit this drum.
Right.
Actually, it was like a playground. And then go next door and get records.
Yeah.
It was something. It was something else. That was a.
Yeah, it was it just happened at the right time, and you know, I look back and I go like, oh man, I feel so lucky that, you know, I was the age I was at and experiencing what I was experiencing during that time. You know, it was like, you know, 25 years of my life.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah. Well, take us back to the beginning, how you got started in music, your family, all that stuff.
I'm the only musician in my family.
Wow.
My mom loved music. I grew up listening to Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand and, you know, Broadway shows.
Yeah.
I could recite the entirety of West Side Story.
Right.
But I got into drum and bugle corps when I was probably 11
cool.
years old.
That's cool. And this is where?
In Enfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you had Rick Hanville on a couple weeks ago. We grew up right across the street from each other.
Yeah.
So I got into drum corps. I did that. I played snare drum. I played triple toms. I did that right up through high school. And, you know, at the same time, I started taking drum lessons at a local place in Enfield. And, you know, things were going along. What really changed it was when I went to UConn, I got into the marching band.
Oh, boy.
And
so no drum kit yet at this point?
Oh, no, I had a drum kit.
But a different thing, different track.
Yeah. Like, you know, I was playing in jazz band in high school, but I wasn't playing in a group. You know, the first real group I played in was with Rick Hanville. And that was that was after my freshman year of college.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I always felt like I was a bit behind everybody.
Okay.
You know, so.
But you're in rudiment world. You're kind of.
Yeah. So was a lot of that. And then getting the opportunity at UConn, it was like, wow, was really, really good. I played in wind ensemble, marching band, orchestra, jazz band for 4 years.
So it did what it was supposed to do. Give you a whole bunch of experience.
I got such a diverse set of experiences there. And, you know, and then I started at UConn with a gentleman named Don Minutillo.
Okay.
He used to be at the Hartford Conservatory, but he was adjunct at UConn. Very low key guy. He was great. Later on, he left, and actually Gene Bosey took over. So that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
That was really as I was leaving. So I left school. At that point, I had played. You know, I played in a couple bands in college. You know, jobbing and doing dance clubs and stuff. A wedding band. And I had enough of that after about 2 or 3 years.
Oh, really?
I said, I really wanted to play jazz fusion.
Okay.
That was my,
yeah.
You know, that was my drive, my passion.
Yep.
So, after we got out of school, about a year later, started a jazz fusion group.
And so you formed?
Well, with a couple other people.
Street Temp?
No, it wasn't Street Temperature.
Okay.
It was
we'll get to that.
It was a group called Topaz.
Okay.
And there was Tyler Van Ostrand was the bass player.
Yeah.
He also, I played with him later in a band called 7th Avenue, and then we changed the name to Big Science.
Okay.
Dave Buddha, who is a guitar player, and a keyboard player named Brian Kellenbach.
Okay.
And for a while we had a sax player as well. So I did that for a couple of years, and that's what got me the gig with Street Temperature.
Oh, okay.
Because they needed a drummer.
Okay.
We were playing around Hartford, and
gotcha.
You know, they saw me play enough, and
because
that was that.
It was a little bit before my time, so I don't know who started Street Temperature or how that all started.
It started at almost like as a jam session at the 880 Club, which was in the South End of Hartford.
Yep.
So like between creative music and the 880 Club, that defined my experience for about 15 plus years.
Yeah. No doubt.
I used to tell people, Friday night, Life Sentence.
Yeah.
Every Friday.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, but that's cool though.
Yeah.
Get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, it was. The group was started by two people. A flute player named Ed Fournier,
Yep.
who passed away, God, almost 30 years ago now.
Whoa.
Yeah, and a sax player named Tom Cody.
Okay. Yeah.
And it had a lot of different folks
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it. Tom Dest,
Yep.
Mike Risley, who passed away a couple of years ago, and Jeff Pivar played with the group.
Yep. Yep.
You know, so
Yep.
yeah, I did a lot of playing with Jeff.
So it was boot camp for a lot of people. Is the way I always looked at it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I could never. I think I sat in once and I got wiped out.
Yeah.
I was not.
Well, it took me, you know, like it's one thing to be able to play some, you know, you're playing the songs,
Mm-hmm.
but to back somebody who's playing like a 5-minute solo,
Yeah,
and,
right.
and make it actually build, and you know that took some time and effort.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
But that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you figured it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I was fortunate too, because mostly because of creative music, I had some great teachers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as I was finishing college, I studied with an old timer named Art Peretta,
Mm-hmm.
and he had played with big stars. He had played with Rosemary Clooney.
Okay.
And, you know, played with I think it was a Jimmy Pastor band. They
Yeah,
were like
yeah,
a
yeah.
big band in
Yeah.
New York, and yeah, he was like a bebop
Okay.
swing guy, and you know, it's just it's great to have experienced lessons with somebody who was actually there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know he was
Right,
around
right,
in the
right,
40s.
Right. Right.
You know, and
Yeah.
so that was
So
cool.
he knows it from doing it.
Yeah,
not-
yeah. It, you know, it gave me, you know, good kind of foundation in how to play jazz, because I really wasn't much of a jazz player, even
Yeah.
though I was playing in a jazz band in college.
Right.
You know, conceptually, I didn't really know, you know, how it was supposed to work.
Okay.
Um,
Well, how does it work? Tell me,
I-
because I don't know.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine? Well, it's simple. All you do is this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Schwing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I also studied with Bob Moses.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was interesting,
I bet.
because
I bet.
he held no punches.
Oh really?
Yeah. If he didn't think you were doing
Is
something.
he still? Is he still alive?
I think so. I'm not
Wow.
sure. I haven't seen him, you know, since the creative days. so-
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he was an incredible.
So like
musician.
concepts, like high.
Oh.
I just remember being young, like in Modern Drummer, like he's playing with a branch or something.
Oh,
It's just like
yeah.
this guy's far out.
Yeah,
That's
for a
all
while
I-
I was playing with sticks this long, because Bob Moses was saying, "Oh yeah, you get closer to the
Yeah.
the root of the drum." It's
Yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but it didn't feel right.
Was it cool? Did you learn? You learned a lot.
I
from it.
learned a lot, but it was sort of like tough love. you know?
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
In what way?
He would pull no punches. He would just, you know,
Wow.
he would tell you, "No, man, that's not grooving." It's like,
Wow.
yeah, tough to hear. I remember telling him, like, "Yeah, I play in a jazz fusion band. I really do know how to
Yeah,
play."
right.
And
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, man, but no, this is just not happening yet."
Wow.
You know. So,
And then he helped you.
oh yeah, yeah,
he-
yeah. He
Was he right in your mind? Did
Oh
it
yeah,
make
absolutely.
a difference? And
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, it
wow.
did. It did.
That's heavy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you get different input, right? You can have positive input that helps you. You can have negative input that helps you.
Sure.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I just tried to take it
That's cool.
as it was coming.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy. Where
Yeah.
was he? Was he from around here?
No, it was Boston,
Okay.
but he was, you know, he played with Gatzen. And,
Okay.
You know,
So you
he
would
was
hook
just
up with
part
him?
of that circle. He would come down like once a month, and I'd
I
get a
gotcha.
lesson with him.
Wow.
And then
And he would tell you how bad you were, and then he would go away.
And then I'd go and then try to improve. And then they brought in Kenwood Denard.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was it for me. That was life changing.
Yeah, I can only
You
imagine.
know, he was like, I still consider him 1 year of lessons, and I consider him my mentor.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, within like 2 lessons, it had changed everything about how I practiced, how
Really?
I played, how I thought. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
How? Like in what way? How could? If there's any way you could like
Well, so I went in for my first lesson. He's showing me some stuff, and I go away.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
like, do some flams, do the 60 beats, and
Yeah.
very structured stuff, right? And I come back, and I'm playing. He says, "Here's how you're doing," and on the page he had the exercise, and he had an E and a C, and I'm like, "What's the E and C for?" He goes, "Evaluation and comment."
Whoa! So he's just gonna.
So he was like
between him and Bob Moses.
He would give me a percentage,
Wow!
And so like I'm playing
for what, accuracy?
Yeah. So I'm playing
Whoa.
like 16th note flams, and I get done and thinking, yeah, it's pretty good. And he goes, "Do you practice with a metronome?"
Oh,
I said,
boy.
"Well, sometimes." He goes, a big smile comes on his face. He goes, "No, all the time."
Oh.
And that was it. From then on, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
Metronome's on, I'm practicing.
Yeah.
Metronome's off, I'm just playing.
Sure, I got you.
Yeah.
So it's just all about that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really a convergence of things, because I'm playing in a jazz fusion group where we're trying to play Chick Corea tunes and Spyro Gyra
Sure.
tunes, and half the tunes that we played, Steve Gadd was
Right.
the guy doing the recording.
Yeah.
And
So
trying
you-
to
yeah.
can I just try to play like this guy? So it was between that and then
Wow.
lessons there. I improved pretty quickly over the next year.
But you were
year and a half.
determined. Can you imagine how many people between those two like hang it up, realizing that like I get too many E's or whatever? That you're just. But I mean, the fact that you're like, okay, I'm going to push through.
Well, he was so positive,
that's cool.
where Bob was sort of like, he was like,
Did he ever approve of you? Did
who,
Bob ever?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
the
okay,
last
all right.
lesson I did with him.
Not bad.
Yeah, no, it was actually, I can't say what he said, but we played for about 10 minutes. He was late getting the lesson started and everything else, and I was a little bit perturbed, and I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna stop trying to play for him. I'm just gonna play.
Yeah.
And we played for about 10 minutes. He sat at the piano. And he's like, yeah, man,
Oh, okay.
that's the stuff.
Hey.
Yeah. So
That's
that was
cool.
my last lesson.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
Yeah, I'll have to do more. I don't really know much about him. I'm reading between the lines. I'll have to do research and find out what his deal is, so I can figure out what other people say. Yeah, about him. Yeah, because I don't know him at all. But you sound like a hard ass the way you're describing.
well,
It's
he was and he wasn't. I mean, he was from that school of like, hey, man,
You either got it or you don't.
Yeah,
Or
if you
yeah,
want to play jazz, you better get your stuff together.
Sure.
So
That's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember. For me again, just being slightly younger in another scene. I mean, Kenwood Denard. It was just a name to me.
Yeah.
I knew that he was good because I would read about him and hear his name. Never really heard him play, and I still to this day will never forget. I was into funk and all that, but that live Maceo Parker record, right?
Yeah. Life on Planet Groove.
Within obviously just that first track, it's like a 15-minute track or whatever. But I think anybody that is even halfway tuned into that as a drummer, my life was different. By the time that I was like, oh, this is how it's done.
I still think
Like,
that solo
and then-
on that tune is one of the best recorded solos ever.
Agree. I agree 100%. And then, but I remember just hearing that and then going, oh, wait, there's 9 more songs or whatever. I just was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this
Yeah.
is Kenwood Denard. Okay, now I understand what, but yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
My older son was kind of weaned on that, plus a lot of other
Yeah.
music. He was probably 2 years old, and he'd sit in the back of the car.
Oh, wow.
And he thought that Maceo was saying 2% jazz, 98% punking stuff.
Oh, right. That's funky stuff. Yeah. No, that did change. I just, just from that one listen, I just thought, okay, I have to tear everything. I have to, okay, this is more. I got to go more this.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine getting, being one-on-one with him. That must be
Yeah,
crazy.
it was inspirational. I mean, he was
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah. I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. That's cool. So there you are. So the teaching, was that something that you wanted to do, or it was just something that you could do, that you did?
Well, I really love teaching.
Yeah,
and,
I do too. Yeah.
And I did it up until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think about I was looking through your roster of the people you interviewed and say, oh, this student.
Yeah.
Student.
Right.
And
Yeah.
So it was something that before I even got done with college, before I did my student teaching and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had probably like 25, 30 students a week.
Okay. So that's your
So
thing.
I went through one semester where I was student teaching, going to, to teach after,
Yeah.
and then playing gigs all weekend.
Wow.
It was like,
Yeah.
that was tough. But I knew that, hey, I'm going to be done. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
I topped out. At one point I had about 60 a week.
Wow. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely enough.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, I don't do quite that much. Like I'm hovering around 30.
Yeah.
Give
Well,
or
this
take,
was when I was young.
Yeah,
too,
right. Yeah.
You get a little more energy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Did your school, because I teach, I mean, it's just one of those things. I just started doing it because it was available, and I'll figure this out. And I didn't have any education in it, but I learned to read in public school and everything, and
Right.
and then I kind of developed my own thing, which seems to work, or whatever. Did your education, did it help you? Did you teach based upon your education, or were you, or both? Probably both.
It was
right?
a little both.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
when I first started, I had every middle school kid from Tolland to Vernon to Manchester to Ellington.
Yeah.
I had them all.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were all coming to me for lessons.
You have my brother-in-law, but you'd never remember him. But yeah.
And I just realized, wow, I've got to get a system together because this is way too taxing.
Right.
Trying to make it up for each student.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I started. I just came up with my own sort of system and built on it. And,
Sure.
Over time, I got to a point, as my career progressed, both playing and teaching. Once I got the gig at Creative, the quality of student was improving.
Right.
Now I'm getting more high school and
Sure.
some college and some professionals. And yes, I mean everybody's walking through that door, right?
Oh yeah.
So so it made me have to okay, now I gotta I gotta progress this whole thing.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah.
Plus, the input that I had from people like Gene and in Kenwood and this guy Art Peretta.
Okay.
I incorporated all of that stuff
yeah.
into what I was doing as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you're ready to roll as your students got better.
Yeah.
You just dig a little deeper.
Yeah, and when I was out playing with Street Temperature, so I'm out playing jazz fusion 5 nights a week. So
Right.
there are a lot of people coming and seeing me.
Sure.
And then I teach
Yeah,
them
that's
Creative.
the guy. Yeah, Creative was the spot. I don't. You know what? I never was downstairs at Creative.
Come on.
It's just in my imagination. I would hear that there was a downstairs. I don't think I ever.
You never went to a clinic?
No, I was always playing. I always had a gig.
Yeah.
I would hear about them, but I don't believe that I ever did.
Wow. Because that was one of the other things that Bob
yeah,
did is
yeah.
he was bringing in
Oh, yeah,
people,
yeah. I would hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Dennis Chambers and Steve Smith. And,
Yep.
I mean, just
Crazy.
wild stuff.
Yeah. Were you the main teacher? The only teacher?
No. They had a
Okay.
a full staff, and I would not call myself like the top teacher. Tom Dest was teaching there, and
Because you were the only one I used to hear about, or whatever that's worth.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. I think Tom was there at that time. Tom was one of those guys. I love him to death, and you know, it was a mixture of admiration and envy because, you know, he was just the most musical drummer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he got along really well with Bob
around?
Moses because it's like
Is he still around?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Just heard from him.
I don't know him.
About Bob.
Tell him to reach out.
Oh, okay.
If he knows about the show.
Yeah,
reach out.
Yeah. I'll definitely.
I don't think
him.
I know him.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he was one of the original drummers in Street Temperature.
Okay.
And I actually saw him when I was in school. He was playing with Gatzen, and he must have been like 15 years old.
Whoa.
And you know, down at the basement of Mad Murphy's, and
yeah, I remember that.
It's like, you know, John and I would trek into Hartford from stores, and geez, you know,
crazy.
You just listening to this kid going like, it's not right.
Yeah.
But I heard that you were that guy too, playing gigs at like, you know, 14 years old. That's great.
I'm not that young, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing.
You know, but you're, you know, getting that experience at that age. I had a bunch of students. Probably the one that's most recognized is, do you know Jim Oblon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in Wallingford.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
I was the best drummer in Wallingford till he came around.
Yeah.
I was no longer. Oh yeah, Jim.
Yeah.
There's not the top shelf of the world.
Right.
Musician. Period.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was incredible. He was studying with Gene, and
okay.
One day Gene comes over to me and he goes like, I've been working with Jim for a long time, but he needs to see you. He needs to get what you're doing.
Cool.
And I had a run 3 years in a row. My students were the All-State Jazz Band drummers.
Hey.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is.
And he
cool.
was, well, I should say this. He was the All-State Jazz Band drummer 2 years in a row.
Wow.
And the year before him, I had another student named Andy Smith, who is now a percussion professor at the University of Tennessee.
Hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
You're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Jim. Yeah, I grew up, you know, we're homies from way back when, from back in Wallingford.
Yeah.
So he was always, you know.
Yeah, Jim, about 10 years ago, I get a Facebook message from Jim, right? He goes, "Hey, Frank." And I'm just reading it. "Hey, Frank, remember the lesson you showed me this?" And I click on the video, and he's playing 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover with Paul Simon. I was like, yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah, well, you know, that's no mystery when it comes to that.
Yeah,
Like,
I had a whole, you know,
like he's one of the most talented musicians ever. Like just beyond drums, obviously.
Yeah. I had another guy earlier than that who, like, each year he was like, "Oh, this year I'm going to make All-State on timpani, and this year I'm going to make All-State on mallets." And you know, and then he went on to like he was doing composition for ESPN.
Yeah, right.
You know,
hey, that's cool.
Yeah, it's just,
how about that from Connecticut?
Yeah,
I always say it like I mean, I don't have any complaints, but you know, when you think about it, people will like complain about Connecticut music scene or growing up in whatever. And I'm just like, no, we were able to, growing up in Connecticut, in New England at least, you could create a circuit. We did a lot of playing. Like if you're in Des Moines, Iowa, maybe, I don't know, maybe Des Moines has it, but like my family's from Pittsburgh.
Right.
You play Pittsburgh or you play Cleveland, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so how you can't really develop, like you say, we're talking about, we played for years. There was at least a scene. There probably still is. But when we came up, like you say, you could play jazz fusion 5 nights a week.
And that's what we were doing in Hartford.
Yeah, in Hartford.
You know, we would usually play like a couple of weekends a month. We'd play down in New London or in New Haven or Torrington, but a steady gig on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, Sunday afternoons, we used to play at Twain's on the River.
Okay.
That was over in East Hartford.
Yep.
That was great. You know, because it was like what we started for, done at 8.
Hey.
It's like, oh, can't beat that. Play outside.
Yep.
Looking out at the river.
Yep. Yeah. I guess those were the days.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I said, you know, my son is a musician, and he's a music producer.
Okay.
And right now he and his partner write movie trailer music.
There you go.
And you know, he was he was like an award-winning piano player in high school.
Yeah, right.
Went won the Berkeley Jazz Band competition.
Yeah. So it can be done.
Yeah, but it's like, well, where would he be, today? Where would he be able to play? It's like,
I don't know.
So he just said, yeah, no, I'm gonna produce music.
Yeah, right. Well, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but there's just
a different
not.
path.
Yeah, there's just not the.
Yeah.
What are the venues now that
Yeah.
It's just not quite the same.
No, but I mean, I know some people. It seems like the jam band scene. Those guys play a lot.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. It's different than us, than our scene that we remember.
Yeah.
Playing in bars,
Yeah.
but see some people playing.
Yeah.
Or they're playing on YouTube or whatever. Whatever. Audience is an audience.
Right.
Probably better off. You're not going to get a DUI after your YouTube video, I guess, or
Right.
something. So street temperature for how long? A long time.
Yeah, 83 through 89
Wow.
full time.
Yeah.
And then I would sub for them, off and on for the next few years.
Yeah. Who was before you? Tom Dest?
Tom Dest, and then a drummer named Chip Reed.
Okay.
He actually went from drums to keyboards in the
Oh,
band
hey.
when I came in to play drums.
Hey, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you have a drummer looking over your shoulder.
Yeah, it was cool though.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a really good sense of what was going on.
Yeah.
Clearly. And when I got in the band, soon after I got in the band, played with Pat Nigro,
Yeah, sure.
played with
Yeah.
Grayson Hugh.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, I feel really, really fortunate that
yeah.
the people that I've played with. Last Friday, we had a street temperature rhythm section reunion.
Oh, hey.
So the rhythm section for the later part of the 80s was me on drums, Craig Garfinkel on
Oh, yeah,
bass,
sure.
Paul DeMeo on guitar,
Okay.
and Ben Armentano playing keyboards.
Okay.
Ben left and went out to L.A. and has been there for 35 years. So he
Hey.
comes home in the holidays. And so for this year, we got together and we played. A little over 10 years ago, we got together and we actually had a real reunion.
Hey.
Yeah, we did a show. First, we did a show at a little place in West Hartford called Szechuan Tokyo.
Oh, yeah.
They
yeah,
used to
I know that
have
place.
jazz music.
Yep.
And then the following year, we did a show out in Infinity.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something.
That's
It
cool.
was really good.
Yeah.
Bill played with us, Bill Holloman.
Cool. Yeah.
Because Ed.
Yeah,
passed
Craig's
away.
been here. Craig was here.
Yep.
Killer. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Who was after you?
It was one of my students,
Hey. there you
Tim Engel.
go. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Tim. Yeah, he came after me in a band at some point.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in years.
Yeah.
I left Facebook about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
wasn't working.
Yeah.
When I first got involved in Facebook, it was like, oh, this is great. I have a day job and I've got
Sure.
that end of things, and then I'm a musician, and this will be my music
Yeah.
life. And
Then you realize how nutty everybody is.
well,
and you're
yeah,
like-
it got to a point, where it was like, oh man, the slide was, over
Yeah.
the 3-4 years.
That's what unfriend is for.
Yeah. Yeah. I kept on getting on, and I'm realizing, how come I'm not seeing any of my friends? All I'm seeing is people who are,
Yeah.
typing in all caps.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Engel. Yeah, he's out there somewhere. Yeah, I think he reached out to me at some point on Facebook, and then I just we never quite connected. But yeah, that's cool. So you just decided to kind of phase out, or?
No.
Uh-oh.
I went back to school
Oh, okay.
to get some IT skills,
Gotcha.
and that was in 87, 88.
Oh, okay. All right.
I had been married and divorced, and my wife now we've been together. We've been married for 35 years.
Wow. Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. But we had been dating.
You could say it's time to grow up.
Yeah,
Stop hanging out at
it's
the
like
880.
she was like, well, this is, and I met her at the 880.
Sure. Yeah.
She
Yeah.
was a part-time bartender there when she was younger, and I just realized, like, I'm never going to be able to have either. I'm going to have to get out of Hartford.
Yeah.
Which meant that, well, this relationship will be ending because I will be living in, who knows where.
Yeah.
L.A. or
New York or whatever.
Yeah, and so I went back to school, and I still played full time for probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was brutal.
You're like, okay, that's enough of this.
It's like, burning the candle at three ends.
Yeah.
Because I was still teaching.
Yeah.
So 8-hour day, go to teach, and then I was playing 3-4 nights a week.
Yeah.
So it was like,
something's got to give.
Yeah. There was one week, and while I was doing that, I started playing with Bill Holloman.
Oh boy.
So he was. I heard his podcast. He was mentioning that he did a Wednesday night, stint at the 880 Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a band that we had with Joe Greco and Craig, myself, and Bill.
Oh, cool.
And then we got a percussion player named Junior Ortiz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was wild.
Yeah,
that was such a great band, and we all got along together. We didn't really rehearse. We would just go and play.
Yeah.
And we recorded an album.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What was it called? The Bill?
Jazz for Dogs.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a song. He said, he had a song called "Breakfast with Waldy," which was his, dead dog. We used to actually have a cardboard cutout of a dog that we put on the piano at the 880 Club.
Wow. Yeah.
But we, I think the pinnacle for that group, we opened for Wynton Marsalis.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I had we played at the Lenox Performing Arts Center.
Yeah.
So we're setting up. We're doing a sound check, and I'm playing. Hitting all over, and
he comes up and gets all Bob Moses on you.
No, it was like I looked out the corner of my eye. He had just gotten done with an interview. He comes up. He's on the stage putting his trumpet away, and he looks over and he's like, kind of grooving.
Hey.
And he's like, "Yep."
Hey, that's
I was
cool.
like,
"Whoa."
Okay, that was the affirmation I like.
Right. Yeah, that's got to be nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, no, that I would take that. That would be fine.
Yeah.
I don't imagine I would get the thumbs up. I'm not much of a jazz player, so he'd probably be like,
yeah. I there was one night we were playing with Street Temperature. It's a Friday night, and I was wearing glasses because my contacts were bothering me, and I hit my glasses with my stick.
Yeah, sure.
And the lens popped out.
Oh, no.
So now I'm on a break, and I'm on my hands and knees under my drums.
Yeah.
And Ricky Lawson comes up to my drums and goes, "Hey, man." It's like, "Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Now I'm feeling like,
Yeah.
And he came in on a break, so he hadn't heard anything.
Oh, no.
And we sat down, we talked a little bit, went back up and played. And
I thought you could say he came up to say hi and stepped on the lens. Can you imagine?
No, I would have been okay with that. So we played a set, and we're doing like fusion stuff, Tower of Power stuff, and and he looks at me, he goes, "Do you get to play this every night?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah, don't you?
Well, he's playing with Michael Jackson.
Right.
But
wow.
that was a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
sounds good. Yeah. So you kind of did. Do you feel like? I mean, I guess no one ever feels like they did, but you did. Mission accomplished, kind of. Like you did it when it was the thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm fortunate. Some of that stuff got recorded. I've done like 4 or 5 albums.
Yeah.
And it's pretty representative of what I was doing.
Yeah.
The band. We did some really cool things.
Mm-hmm.
We opened for Spyro Gyra at one point. And
That's cool.
yeah, and their drummer did a clinic at Creative, and I went up to him and I said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me. I opened for you out in." He goes, "Oh yeah, you're the guy who plays with the weird set with the hi-hat in the middle."
Oh yeah, that's you. So
That's
at least
me.
he remembers. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember you."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Oh God.
I mean, not Joel Rosenblatt.
No,
Obviously,
it
that
was
came
before
later.
Joel, and
Yeah,
it's like right on the tip of my tongue. I feel terrible that I can't remember.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Well, he remembers you. So.
Well, I doubt it.
Hi-hat in the middle. What's that all about?
Well, like you, I am left-handed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I grew up playing traditional grip because I'm in drum corps.
Right.
Switched to match grip
Sure.
as soon as I, started listening to Billy Cobham and Lenny White and those guys, and the cable hats came out
Right.
in 84, 85.
Right.
And at first, everybody was, taking the cable hat and like, oh, I can tilt my hi-hat,
sure.
or I can move it over to this side. And I just, for some reason, I went in one day and I just sat down in front of one, and like right in front of me. I was like, oh, I took a snare drum, put it down. It was like, oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So I
you
play
can
with,
switch.
I play with, half my kit over here, half my kit over here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't.
And then no crossing over.
So you're just,
Yeah.
So you lead with either hand?
I learned to lead with my left hand mainly because I was trying to fill in percussion parts with my right hand, playing cowbells and little stuff.
Wow.
And so to me it was like this was always crossing over was always, it felt like it was limiting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So where are your toms?
Well, one here, one here.
Okay.
And then one here.
So just
one
not a
down
tom, like right. So just not.
there.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool though, because then you're not always doing the no.
Exactly. And I found that I could play on the same drum with both hands. But, But like moving, like a lot of times you find like, when drummers are playing like this, if they want to go hit something else, they're disrupting the groove.
Right.
But, I can play right here and I could play the entire timbali part off to the left-hand side without, disrupting anything.
Hey,
I've been playing like that for, a long time.
Yeah.
Over 35 years.
That must have been, and then you took it out to the gig. You were like, I'm going to actually do this.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever panic where you're like, oh.
The first couple of gigs were interesting because, you're playing along and
Did the band notice? Did they know enough to notice? Or they were just like, whatever? Oh, really? They're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And, come down and go to hit my hi-hat. It's not there. It's like, oh, yeah, it's in front of me now.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Why not?
Yeah.
Just playing music.
Yeah, the drummer from Robert Palmer. I can't remember what his name is.
Donnie something, right?
Yeah. Donnie, was it Wynn?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. He played with his hi-hat.
Is that right?
Too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never got into the cable hat thing. But yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and I got John McElhoney turned me on to this Speedy hat, and it's not like the big long cable. Yeah. It's it's great. I mean, you get the same response that you would with a straight hi-hat.
Oh, I get it. Okay, so
yeah, the band I play in now, I play. I know Rick was telling you about this. We play in a barn.
Yeah.
And I'm playing on Joe Montanari drums. And yeah, it's not too terrible.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
yeah,
it's great. Plus, I'm spoiled.
Yeah,
because I don't have to move drums.
Yeah, that's cool. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild. Hey, so you're the guy with the hi-hat in the middle.
Yeah. Joel Rosenblatt saw it. He came down to a gig because who did he know? I was playing with the sax player Fred Vigdor. Yeah. So Fred played with this band Big Science for a short time.
Okay.
And so Joel came down And he's looking at it. He was like, "Oh, that's a marketing opportunity. You should be doing like doing a video."
Yeah, right.
And I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah."
Well,
That ship had already sailed.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess people are either going to see it and get it or not, or
Yeah.
try it or something.
Yeah, I had some students that tried it for a while.
Yeah.
And
That's kinda cool.
for a while I had a setup at Creative.
Yeah,
where,
yeah, yeah.
Hey, sit down, play it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
But it's so disorienting to people because I mean, years and years of
I don't
crossing.
know if I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I would have, what I would have made of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool though. Just remake the kit to your own thing. Why not?
Yeah.
Instead of, I never got into like New Breed. Is that what that is? That the Gary Chester thing, wasn't he?
I was doing
Is it
some of that
similar
for a
to
while,
that?
but I was doing stuff, it was almost out of necessity. We're playing these tunes,
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
We were playing pretty challenging tunes, and they all had percussion players on it. Like Ralph McDonald was playing.
So you're
and so I'm
doing two
trying to
different-
play a drum
I
beat.
gotcha.
And then okay, I got a couple of cowbells set up
Yep.
over here, and
Yep.
I've got a little drum set up over
Yep.
here, and just trying to fill in
I
the
gotcha.
gaps.
Yeah.
So that was what got me started to play,
Open lefty,
with
yeah.
my left hand over here.
Yeah.
And then once I moved it in front of me, it was like, oh,
Now you're
everything's
wide
free.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know any better. I mean, it's like an ancient time. I never saw anybody play drums because if I didn't see somebody on TV or whatever and being left-handed, I didn't even know that there was a crossover because I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
So I would get on a right-handed person's kit and just caveman away, and never even knowing that this was a thing. I'd be like,
Yeah.
why are people doing that? And, but
Yeah. When I saw, I went, when I was in school, I had seen Billy Cobham.
yeah.
And
I mean, I didn't even see that, so
Yeah.
I thought I was making it up. I
yeah,
had no idea.
and I decided, I'm going to learn to play like that. I spent a year trying to play
Oh, that's
jazz
cool.
left-handed,
Yeah.
and that probably helped me out as well.
Yeah, right.
But there was no way that I was going to be able to
Yeah.
completely switch my
Well,
brain.
that's what, like, some people, they'll see me playing, they'll be like, I mean, I don't dissuade them. I'm like, man, how'd you learn to do that?
Yeah.
What little do they know that,
Yeah.
like, I've tried to play gigs righty, and like my wrists are killing me.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I can do it. Like when I teach, I'll play righty because I don't want to confuse
Right,
kids.
right.
But I mean, there was a time I was like doing it, like I did like a Beatles gig.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'm going to play righty because
Is
I
it
want to
gotta
look
do
like
that?
Ringo. And my wrists were killing. I was like, you'd be surprised that I don't have the same technique.
Oh, yeah.
To do the gig, and my wrists
Yeah.
would be, and I'm like, oh, well,
I think that's normal, though.
right?
Right?
I think so.
Yeah, you got two hands and you do a lot of things the same, and then you do
Yeah.
a lot of things totally different
Yeah.
between one hand and the other.
Yeah, come to find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people think that I actually taught myself to do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, right. I couldn't play righty, so
Yeah.
it's funny. Anything else? We're getting, kind of close-ish. Anything that you want to talk about now? So there's the Mr. Hanville was talking about the gig, the barn gig.
Yeah.
So you're doing that.
Yep.
So that's kind of what you're doing now.
Right.
You're not teaching at all?
No, I haven't for before COVID.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
I'm
But
still
no desire.
pretty busy.
No necessary desire to.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody came to me and said like, "Hey, I really want to take lessons with you," I'd be like, "Yeah, come on over the house.
Yeah, sure.
I'll do a lesson with you."
Sure. But you're not like banging them out like you were.
No.
Yeah. Oh, I guess these things happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess, like as far as what you're doing, I think we kind of covered it, right? Do you think?
Yeah.
More or less?
Sure.
All right. Well, we'll get into wrap up semi questions.
Okay.
I have a new one. New year.
Oh no! I didn't. I was trying to prepare.
Yeah.
Everybody's preparing.
All right. Well,
now,
then all right. Well, then you already know Desert Island Albums.
Okay, and I thought about this.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really albums, but it would have to be Crosswinds, Billy Cobham.
Sure.
Probably Where Have I Known You Before, Chick Corea. The opening track to
Planet Groove.
no, well that would be one. That's one of the albums. Tower Power, anything by the
Sure.
Police.
Sure.
There's too many of them
Sure.
to.
Yeah.
I was going to say the opening to the song "Lead Boots."
Oh yeah, right.
Wired.
Yeah,
I could listen to that all day long.
Yeah. When Jeff Beck died, I listened to everything. I did
Yeah.
Jeff Beck, top to bottom, just to kind of go over everything.
Right.
It was cool. Yeah, a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Desert Island food.
Oh man. Well, my wife makes some of the best eggplant parmesan I've ever had, so I'll go with that.
That's your thing. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Just because is she even going to listen? You don't have to say that.
But
it's the truth.
She might listen.
Okay. All right. That's cool. All right. You ready for this one? Favorite movies? Any movies that you can think of?
Oh, yeah.
That might define you.
Okay. It was a very obscure movie from like 1982 or 83 called My Favorite Year.
Oh, wow. I don't know it.
Yeah. Wow. The star was Mark Lynn Baker from Wethersfield.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was basically a week of the show of shows, Sid Caesar's show. And
right.
it was like their writing staff was Mel Brooks and Neil Simon and Carl Reiner.
Oh, wow.
And Imogen Coca.
Oh, wow.
So the movie was like a parody of that.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
A lot of one-liners.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you have to check that out. Any particular concert or show that you attended that blew your mind, that changed your trajectory?
Absolutely. Right. So my freshman year of college, night before my birthday, December 11th, I go to see Billy Cobham at Shaboo.
Oh boy.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was the turning point. I went and saw him. I said, that's what I'm going to have to be doing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I changed my major.
Wow.
Yeah, because I went into school as a physics major.
Okay. Well,
and I went home and told my dad that I'll double major with music, and he said,
"Sure,
yeah.
Sure." What were you into before that? Did you know that night that Billy Cobham was going to blow your mind, or?
I had a feeling.
Okay.
I mean, he walked out before the show, and he's got some mallets. He's hitting around the drums. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing.
What were you into before that?
Tower of Power.
Okay.
So I was already listening to Billy Cobham, Lenny White, Chick Corea.
But it was just heavy dose of fusion.
I liked R&B music. I when I was younger, and still I love Jethro Tull.
Yeah. That's funny. Doane Perry, right?
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah. I don't know enough. I don't know a lot of Jethro Tull, but yeah.
Ian Anderson. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's the drummer Doane Perry, right?
Yeah, well, the guy who did most of the recording when I was listening was Barrymore Barlow.
Oh, right.
And he was an incredible player.
Wow.
He was on Aqualung.
Okay.
And then,
all right. Yeah, I don't know my
Thick as a Brick and
okay.
Some great stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to Jethro Tull. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's cool. So Billy Cobham, that changed it for you.
That was it.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then probably first time I heard Voices Inside My Head by the Police.
Right.
I was just like, what?
What? I still agree. Yeah, it's funny. I think about that.
And I had heard a Police tune before that. I heard Roxanne, but I heard that tune. It was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that too. Same thing. I knew the Police, but my brother-in-law, older, killer stereo, and he had Zenyatta Mandata.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny now that you think back and you just go, the drums are so loud, and you go because they hate each other. Whoever was at the board last, but I'm like, but what a gift, because I remember for me that was the veil got lifted. Like I was into drums, but then I'm like, I can hear everything. I can hear every thing, and that made all the difference.
And then what he did with like the feedback, the record.
I thought it was two drummers.
Yeah.
And,
I kept on trying to see, like, how did he do that?
Yeah.
And then I realized, it's just.
Yeah. So for people who don't know what we're talking about, so Stuart Copeland, Zenyatta Mandata, the Police, Voices Inside My Head. Stuart Copeland, because they were into dub reggae, he would like run the whole drum kit through a delay unit, but then time it in rhythm so that the delay would answer like one measure behind what he was playing, but mix the delay signal as loud as the regular drums.
Right.
So he would play something and it would answer him back as he's rolling. I thought it was two drummers, because you would hear a little bit of flamming.
And all the stuff like Walking on the Moon. I used to try to think, like, how's he doing all that?
Yeah.
And, and then it's like, dun, 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 dun.
Right, and letting the delay do the rest.
Yeah.
But that's brilliant.
Yeah.
In its own way. Yeah, Stuart Copeland blew my mind too.
Yeah.
That was a huge thing. Yeah, crazy. All right, well, you know what? We can get out of here.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Hey,
I'm glad we
it was a
finally
pleasure.
got to hang out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your name, as you know, kept coming up, and I'm like, all right, and so that you made the list, and then sadly with Bob's passing, I'm like, now's the time.
Yeah,
So let's just do it,
Yeah.
Stay tuned. If I can get my act together, we're going to start doing round tables. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out how to do it. Dave
Oh, that would be great.
and then we'll do a creative music round table and let you guys have at it.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
All right, Frank Giguere, thanks for coming.
All right.
I appreciate it. I'm going to press the button.
Good.
Yeah. All right, John Peckman Podcast, Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance 2024. You know what I'm saying? That's what year it is, right? Okay. 2024. We're here. We're live, most of us. Beautiful downtown Port, Connecticut. Come over the bridge, go through one light, turn around, pull a U-E, park in front of the thing with the thing. Frank Giguere was here. Thank you very much, kids. Have your very own podcast here in our beautiful studio. Dave will tell you how. Like and subscribe. Happy New Year. That is all.
If you'd like to start your own podcast, give us a call at Connecticut Valley School of Music and Dance. Our professionally designed podcast space is here for all your recording needs. Rent out our studio to do interviews with up to 4 people, to record audiobooks, social media content, and all other recorded material. Our rentals include a private studio along with our professional-grade podcasting equipment, and we can customize your output to whatever your needs are. We also have green screen capabilities, which will expand to video capability if you so wish. So check us out here at convalley.net/podcast.